Study in Canada as an international student.
Apply to study in Canada as an international student, extend your study permit, and find out about working while you study or after you graduate. As an international student who has come to know and love Canada, you may decide you want to extend your study permit. Or perhaps you want to live and work here after you graduate. Canada welcomes you. After all, Canada is a country built on immigration. Discover more about extending a study permit, renewing a temporary resident visa, applying for permanent resident status, and immigrating to Canada.
Your study permit allowed you to begin your studies in Canada. If you want to continue your education in Canada, you need to extend your study permit. You need a valid passport to get or extend a study permit. This means the expiry date on your passport must go beyond the time of any extended study permit. You must apply for an extension to your study permit at least 30 days before the current study permit expires.
What if you want to stay in Canada but are no longer studying?
You will need to apply for a work permit if you wish to stay in Canada to work. Apply to change your status and stay in Canada as a visitor. To stay in Canada after your studies are completed, you'll need a visitor visa if you don't have a work permit.
A temporary resident visa (TRV) is an official document issued by a Canadian visa office. It takes up a page in your passport and shows you have met the requirements for admission to Canada as a temporary resident. As an international student, you'll have a valid study permit. However, your spouse or partner or children may be living with you in Canada thanks to a temporary resident visa. Some spouses and partners have a work visa too. If you decide to stay in Canada after your studies, your spouse, partner, or children may also wish to stay. If so, they need to renew their temporary resident visa.
As a student in Canada, you're not a permanent resident or a citizen of Canada. When you finish your studies, you may want to immigrate to Canada and then become a citizen. To do so, you need to apply for permanent resident status. Here's how it works.
You can apply for permanent resident status. You remain a citizen of your own country. You will become a Canadian citizen when your immigration process is complete. If you have finished your studies and you're working at a job in Canada, you can apply to be considered within a pool of candidates that the government will allow to become permanent residents through the Express Entry program. There are several permanent resident categories that you may fit into, including the Canadian Experience Class, the Federal Skilled Worker Program, and the Provincial Nominee Program. Some of the categories require eligible Canadian work experience. If you want to work in Canada after you graduate from your studies, you must apply for a work permit under the Post-Graduation Work Permit Program. As a permanent resident, you have the right to
receive the social benefits that Canadian citizens do, including free healthcare in the province or territory where you live. Live, work or study anywhere in Canada. Apply for Canadian citizenship. Be protected by Canadian laws and the Canadian Charter of Rights and Freedoms. You must pay taxes and respect all Canadian laws at the federal, provincial, and city levels.
As a permanent resident, you are not allowed to
Vote or run for political office. Hold jobs that need a high-level security clearance.
When you're a permanent resident, you can live outside of Canada. However, you must live in Canada for at least 2 years in a 5-year period. If you live outside of Canada for longer, you may lose your permanent resident status. If you wish to immigrate to Canada, you will be joining millions of other Canadians who applied to do so and are now Canadian citizens. Immigration, Refugees and Citizenship, Canada, or IRCC, is the federal government department responsible for immigration to Canada. The department's website offers all you need to know about the different ways you and your family can immigrate to Canada.
After you graduate from your program of studies, you may be able to work temporarily or even live permanently in Canada.
To work in Canada after you graduate, you need a work permit. The work experience you gain while working may help you qualify for permanent residence.
Post-graduation work permit.
Graduates of certain designated learning institutions are eligible for this work permit.
Other types of work permits.
If you're not eligible for a PGWP, you may still be able to work in Canada after you graduate. Find your path to permanent residence.
You studied in Canada, and maybe you even have Canadian work experience. Now, you'd like to live in the country permanently. IRCC have options for you to become a permanent resident.
The Come to Canada tool can help you explore your options. Or, you can also see the following table to compare programs and get more details.
Before you compare programs, here are 2 key terms you need to know. Canadian Language Benchmark, or CLB.
The Canadian standard used to describe, measure, and recognize English language ability of adult immigrants and prospective immigrants who plan to live and work in Canada or apply for citizenship. The Niveau de compétence linguistique canadiens (NCLC) is used to assess abilities in the French language.
National Occupation Code (NOC).
The National Occupation Classification (NOC) is a list of all the occupations in the Canadian labor market. It describes each job according to skill type and skill level. For immigration purposes, these are the main job groups. Skill type 0, management jobs. Skill level A, professional jobs that usually call for a degree from a university. Skill level B, technical jobs and skilled trades that usually call for a college diploma or training as an apprentice. Skill level C, intermediate jobs that usually call for high school and or job-specific training. Skill level D, labor jobs that usually give on-the-job training.